Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are in the world. Welcome to Business Breakthroughs Live and Raw. And I'm excited about you guys being here today. I'm going to cover just a couple of tidbits. Number one, goal setting. We're halfway through the month of March, and I wanted to ask you guys, how are you doing? Are you on track to hit your goals? And if you're not, why not? And if you are, why? And so keep track of your lessons that you've learned along the way so that you can keep replicating the action. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to be the difference between you achieving greatness and achieving mediocrity is the amount of action that you take. And mindset is a very huge part of that. And one of the struggles that I run across quite often, quite frequently in the world of trades, especially because that's who I spend a lot of time working with, is going from the employee mindset to the business owner mindset. And there's a lot of struggles in there. And one of the things that I wanted to share today and just kind of help maybe bridge the gap for a number of those business owners that are in that struggle. Just being good at your craft isn't going to make your business successful. It's very, very important that you understand that. What makes a successful business is growing a predictably successful business using a system that will help you get there. A system that provides lead generation, a system that provides your sales and marketing, systems that provide the HR and the hiring so you can hire better quality tradespeople, better quality subcontractors, and ultimately better employees. Because I know most of you guys are struggling with it. I get that. I've been there. When I was running my oil field service business, I felt like my front office door was one of those big department store revolving doors, because the guys that go in, they go out, go in and go out. I got to the point where I was so sick and tired. I was so fed up with hiring guys that I didn't even bother to interview them anymore. I just looked at them and said, what size coverall do you take? And great, I got a pair in the back, let's go. And we test them for a week or a day, depending on how long they lasted. And I'll be honest, that is a terrible way to hire people. And so we got better at that. And one of the cool ways that we got better at that was using some of the tools that are out there that allow us to hire the right team players, right? So I'm going to suggest if you are in the electrical field or the plumbing field and you guys need stuff done right, you want to be able to hire the guy that is very meticulous about doing stuff right. You don't necessarily want to hire a guy that's high D, perhaps like you or like me, because they get distracted and sometimes they get too carried away and they end up dropping the ball. So using personality profiles or personality assessments to identify who's on your team can help you figure out who needs to go on the bus. And I'm going to share with you the analogy, Good to Great. It's a book by Jim Collins. I read this book, I don't know how many years ago. As you can tell, it's got tags and stuff on it. It's a book that helped me identify who needed to be on my bus and in what seat they needed to be on. And using a personality profile, stuff like DISC or Myers-Briggs, and one I've heard even more recently, Colby, they're all geared to helping you identify how they behave, how they interact, and how they communicate with each other, especially as a team. And as you building a team, you want to be able to figure out what's the best communication process for your business. Because if you don't have good communication with your clients, you don't have good communication with your teams, you are ultimately going to have the wheels fall off your bus, the truck, the trailer. It's going to go to crap in a handbasket. And I'm being polite here. And I've been there. I've done that. We were running a company that had, north of 25 staff, and to get there, I went bald. Lost a lot of my hair because once we got over 10 staff, things didn't go right. In fact, at 10 staff, things weren't going right. 5 I could manage because most of the time I was the guy in the truck running the crew. Once we got bigger than that, I started hiring supervisors. They got to run the crews, and that's where things started falling apart. We started to implement systems to help us go beyond 10 staff. And then when we get to 15 and when we got to 20, these systems help your teams run the projects. So I'm hoping that what you're going to get out of this today is going to be, okay, I definitely need to be putting systems in place. What kind of systems do I need to do? Well, good to great. It's not going to give you the nuts and bolts of the systems, but it'll give you the why and the how around your leadership and what kind of people you need to have on your bus, right? Because they tracked, Jim Collins tracked a number of companies. I think it was 20 companies in the book that tracked the S&P 500 index. They got, I don't know, 10, 15% return on investment. And then there was 20 companies in the same industries as those first 20 that actually did way better. They were like 10 or 15x what the S&P did. And so we wanted to look at what the difference was between the good companies and the great companies. And it really came down to leadership. And so as a couple of things here, you guys, and I don't want to, slap you upside the face or anything, but if you're running a company and you want to grow it, you need to become a better leader. You need to become a leader that inspires people. Now, leading isn't saying, hey, go get this shit done. Leading is saying, how can I serve you? How can I provide you the tools, the training, so you can do your job better? And part of that allows them, when you're the servant type leader and you lead by example, you can create a really amazing culture within your business that allows you to grow the company because people enjoy working for you, right? You're not the command and control kind of freak. We've had a few of those guys come and go. And, I think I used to be one at one point, a long time ago, but I've read a lot of books around leadership. I've taken a lot of leadership programs. One of the best programs I ever took was Rapport International, a training company out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And they have a program called Leadership Breakthroughs 1 and 2. And it's a 3-day intensive course, really powerful, some really good breakthroughs in, my managing style and how I help people. And certainly personality profiles is part of that, right? So just give you something to think about when you're looking to grow your business. Now, a lot of companies in the trades right now, a lot of you guys out there, you're not so much struggling with the leads because you have a pretty good name, pretty good reputation. What you're struggling with is getting the quality people, right? And the quality people come from identifying, hiring really slow and firing really fast. And so you want to spend the time, you want to spend an amount of good time up front figuring out what your hiring process is, what it should be, and then how you go about that process. Now, a couple of things that I did in my own company, I suggested to a number of my clients, is if you're a technical guy, like we actually had to, we did secondary containment stuff, so our guys had to put a lot of bolts in and zap them up with impact wrenches, and typically it was 20 bolts to a seam, and depending on the size of the containment, they could be there for a couple of days putting bolts in. And what we needed to do is to find out if they had the mechanical ability to be able to run the tools properly. And so even before I hired them, we'd bring them in for an interview. Before we even hired them, I'd send them into the back shop, and one of our foremen would have a couple of panels of steel there and some nuts and bolts, and they would time these guys on how long it took them to put a panel in, whether or not they could run a screw gun and screw steel, self-tapping screw into a steel lip, and time them on this, and and then watch them, see how well they did. If they were fumbling and they really know what they were doing, it was pretty good bet saying, hey, what, you're not the right fit. And I wouldn't even interview them. We just send them packing. That might be something that you guys might want to look at doing in your world if you're looking at doing stuff like plumbing or electrical, where they have to actually take measurements. They have to use their mathematical skills, take measurements, set something up so that you can have them build something relatively simple. So if they're telling you they're a second year or third year or fourth year journeyman, you know that based on what they're doing out in this test area, that they have the aptitude and the ability and the knowledge to do what they say they're doing. And if not, you're definitely not going to hire them. I mean, we hired a couple of engineers, and I don't want to say anything bad about engineers, but book smart, absolutely. Tool smart, no. These guys didn't know what a screwdriver were. So when you're in that space, when you're looking to hire people, look at different ways to make sure that you've got the quality person. Make sure you're hiring the right guy. Don't just rely on the interview, having them tell you what you want to hear, right? It's more, sometimes during the interview, it's about what they don't say that's as important as what they do say, right? So, when you're going through that process of trying to figure out what staff to bring onto your team, right? And I'm not even sure how I got onto all of this. We started out with goal setting in my set and got into here, which is kind of cool. But figure out who is the kind of person that you want to have in this position. What kind of abilities do they need to have? What kind of skill set? What kind of self-starting abilities do they have? Self-managing. Do they need to be organized? Have a list of roles, responsibilities, and actions, accountability that this person needs to be accountable to. And then go through and figure out what the attributes are for a person to fit that role that you need. Right now, if you need someone like you, certainly hire for that. But if you need someone that does not do the same stuff you do, who's not good at what you do, but is good at the stuff that you're not good at, don't hire you. One of the business owners I was just talking to last week, he's going through a personality process, and what he realized is all the guys he's hired are exactly like him. And that's not a good thing when you're trying to figure out a team to be able to get a team to work together, right? So you want to make sure you have some different personalities in different roles, right? Identify those roles. Like if you need a number cruncher, you don't want to have a high D in that space because high Ds typically aren't good for numbers. We don't have that attention to detail. We're more take action. Let's go. Let's make a decision and let's go do it and we'll figure it out on the way. If you need to have the numbers in place, right? So if you're hiring an estimator or someone like that, you need them to do a personality profile so that they're very meticulous with the detail, with the numbers, right? And they can provide that good stuff for you. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Just wanted to share this good book, Good to Great by Jim Collins. He's got a sequel out. It's called Great by Choice. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. It is on my reading list. But feel free to reach out. If you guys are struggling with any of that stuff, right? I mean, that's what we're here for. Reach out, have a quick conversation with me, and maybe we can point you in the right direction. Maybe it's you having to bring me on as an advisor on your team to help you guys get that stuff figured out so you can learn how to grow quicker, better, and faster. One of the things that I learned, and a most valuable lesson in my oilfield service business, is when I was struggling trying to get it to the next level, when I was frustrated trying to break that $1 million barrier, right? I didn't know what to do. I had some folks advising me, and it just wasn't enough to get it to the next level. And when I brought in my own coach, I hired my own business coach to make some adjustments to how I was thinking and how our business was operating. Once we figured out a lot of the stuff around our core story and our marketing and the best customer to fit our product market and lineup, it was a great fit because we were able to 4x our revenue in 24 months. And so if that is where you guys are at, if you're struggling in that space right now trying to figure out the next best thing, or getting distracted with the shiny or frustrated with why you can't get the results out of your business that it should have, right? Feel free to reach out, because having a coach on your team is the best way to hack success, growth in your business today. Right? You don't have to make the same mistakes I did, right? I'm bald. I've made all those mistakes, right? And I'm still making some, right? As you will too. But the thing is because I've made them and some other coaches have made them, and I can learn from all of these other guys and they can learn from us. You get to learn from us. You get to learn not how to do the things that we did wrong. You can actually learn from that and move it forward faster and better, right? I'd also encourage you, if you have not read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill yet, do so. It's a powerful book. I reread it at least once a year. This year, I'm just reading it again, so I'm pretty stoked about the lessons that it's reminding me that I haven't been doing in the past. And so, get that book, get your thinking straight, because if you're going to go from thinking like an employee to an entrepreneur, you got to put on a whole bunch more hats as an entrepreneur. You have to be able to figure out, what does my business need to make it grow? You have to figure out your marketing. You have to figure out your sales. And you have to figure out all these other things that need to go in there to grow your business. right? Figuring out the marketing side of my business was what allowed us to 4x our revenue. And if I hadn't been able to figure that part out, wouldn't have happened. But for a 4-month period while we had our coach involved, we were working, all right, myself and my team, my management team, we were working into the long hours of the night getting stuff done. We gave up a lot of weekends, gave up a lot of evenings during that 4-month period to make sure we figured out who our market was, to make sure we figured out our core message. And as we got through that mess, right, things just started going like this, and boom, boom. You know, we were 3/4 of the way through the year before we realized that we were going to break $1 million. We were very close at the end of our third quarter. We did not know we were going to do that well. End of the year, we were over we're over 1.3 million the first year, and we'd only had our coach for 4 months. We fired him because we didn't see the value. They weren't providing the value. And so for me as a business coach, a lesson learned there, I continue to provide value month after month, week after week in your business. So if you guys are at all concerned, interested, or not sure if coaching is for you, feel free to reach out. Let's have a conversation. I promise I don't sell you because I hate selling. I like to have a conversation. I like to educate. And if it's a good fit, you'll move forward. If it's not a good fit, hey, that's okay too. Been great talking to you guys. I hope you had a little epiphany or a little breakthrough from this quick video. Take care. Talk to you soon.